One of my favorite demo models is back for a full face. I'm going to be able to show you in real time how to wax a full face that both has vellus and coarse hair. If you're struggling with which wax is going to be best for you and your clients, I want you to stop, pause this video, go ahead and take the formula finder quiz below. It takes less than 60 seconds. It's 7 questions to find your perfect formula for you. Also, before we get into it, I need you guys to subscribe. Please, 70% of you who come back every week and watch my demos, watch my podcast here on YouTube are not subscribed. It greatly helps us to be able to continue to put out this education for you. Let's get into it. I took my perfect match quiz and it came up with gel, which does not surprise me. You guys most often see me using hybrid in my demo videos, but today I am going to use a gel-based formula from Rebel Wax. We have mixed in here quite a few things. I have pink shimmer, I have blue gummy, and I have clear and scented. All 3 of our gel formulas mixed in here, so it makes this really pretty lilac color. All right, let's get our model in here and get started. Let's go over supplies real quick. So gloves, cotton rounds, pre-wax cleanser, pre-wax oil, post-care, tweezers, scissors, and facial waxing sticks. So step number 1 is we're going to pre-cleanse. These are vinyl gloves from Lash Wax OC. Vinyl gloves are my favorite. The wax peels right off of them and you can get a full case for $49.99. So make sure to unlock your spray bottle first. I do prefer to put cleanser in a spray bottle, and I douse the cotton rounds pretty heavily. She's not wearing makeup today, so we're just gonna do 1 cleanse. If they are, then you may have to double, even triple cleanse. So cleanse all the areas where we will be waxing. So what is included in a full face? For me personally, it's brows, it's forehead or hairline, sideburns. I like to, when they have a little bit longer hair like this, I cleanse both going down and upwards because we want to get this cleanser down to the skin. Going upwards helps to do that. Then we have cheeks, upper lip, lower lip, chin, jawline, and we'll bring it down a little bit onto the neck here. And then we also include nose and top of nose. I know that she likes to do top of nose, so I'm going to cleanse there as well. All right, and then you just check your cotton rounds. We did have some leftover makeup, so you're just gonna go through again. You don't have to grab a new cotton round or anything, but just cleanse until the cotton rounds are nice and clean. Be very, very thorough on this, okay? It's important. All right, so normally I just cleanse for face and then I like to examine the skin. Are they oily after cleansing? Then maybe we need a little powder. Are they very dry after cleansing? Then maybe a little bit of oil. In her case, pretty neutral, but for thicker hair like we have on the sideburns here, we are going to use some oil. So I'm just going to do a little, unlock, a little squirt here, nothing too crazy. Okay, and we're going to make sure to saturate that area well. Are we taking all this up here too? Mm-hmm. So we'll bring that up. And then I will grab a paper towel and just wipe away any of the excess oil. One supply I forgot and is really important is spoolies. So I grabbed 2 here because I'll be using them for brows and her sideburns. So I like to start with brows and then kind of work my way like outside in, top to bottom. So we're gonna start with brows first. So the order of operations for brows is trim, wax, tweeze. Why do I trim first? Because it's very easy to accidentally grab hairs with the wax that you didn't mean to when they're too long. And it gives you a better look at the shape so we also don't over wax. So you're going to brush up. We don't hold those hairs up like this because then you can take too much off. We just brush up, let it do its own thing, and then kind of follow the shape of the brow here. Okay, and then I like to brush downwards. Don't trim the tail too short. I like to keep a little bit of that length because it gives the appearance of more density once I brush them up and over. So I just go really conservative. We can always take more off. Look at what a difference that already made. So I'm going to come over to this brow, do the same thing, brush up. Remember, your left hand is there for added support. So make sure you're supporting this trimming hand here. Then we will brush down. Gonna leave, this tail is getting a little thin, so I don't want to take much off at all, because again, it gives the appearance of more density once we brush them up and over. If you trim too much, it's going to make that area look really sparse. The most common area people start to thin out on their hair is the start of the brow and the tail. And those two areas, especially the tail, are what help to really frame the face, so we do not want to take too much. All right, so now we trim, now we can wax. Pointer finger up top, dragging across the top surface of the wax. I have a free 6-week course for you guys too, so if you haven't yet enrolled in that, make sure to do so. I teach you all 6 different strips that you need to know, including pointer tool. All right, so I started in the middle there, working my way to the start of the brow. It's gonna be ready to remove almost immediately. You can see all those little hairs right there. So one thing I hear often when we have customers that are using our gel-based formula is that they feel like it takes forever to set. There are specific techniques that need to be used when using a gel-based formula, including making sure to not lay your strips too thick. So that's why the My Formula quiz is going to be really helpful for you guys, because it should allow you to lay thinner strips. We do want to remove when still tacky, but it's going to be ready to remove almost immediately. So it's still very speed waxer friendly, but you do need to have your technique on point. So don't forget to go and take that quiz and find out which formula is the best for you. When I'm doing the top of the brow, I like to take my spoolie and brush everything down, and then because her hairline does come close to the tail over here, I'm just going to make sure everything's brushed out of the way there as well. All right, we're continuing with pointer tool method. I like to use my left hand, hold the hair back here. It also just gives me some support. We start with our stick standing straight up, and then start to lay it down as we come across the arch and into the tail area here. Get a little lift. Now I'm going to let that sit a little bit longer because I did thicken it up. I thickened it up with 2 passes because of removal purposes. So thinner the hair, thinner the strip, thicker the hair, thicker the strip. So I wanted to thicken that up a little bit. So instead of doing a lay pull method, now I'm doing a lay pull method. All right, now I'm positioning myself over on her right shoulder, and I'm pushing this brow strip away from me. So you need to get comfortable with both the motions of pushing and pulling when you're laying strips. All right, I like to get that little lift there. Now we're gonna come back. See how the color kind of changes? It turns like this white opaque color. I love the visual with gel because you know when it's ready to remove. It stays really, really nice and pliable as well. All right, so we're gonna get our grip, remove to the arch. I like to readjust and then remove the rest of the way through. That is removing everything, vellus hair, coarse hair, all of it, while staying very gentle on the skin. All right, now we are doing the bottom of the brow here. So I'm going to brush all the hairs up. I am going to be thickening this up just a little bit because it is a little bit coarser hair there. So I'm making sure I'm getting enough wax on my stick. We're still using pointer tool. I'm going to start with this right brow here. Don't be afraid to adjust your client as needed. Start with your stick straight up. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Start to lay it down as you come around the arch there. And then I just go back to thicken that up a little bit. All right, we're gonna get that lift and then allow it to set. All right, now same thing, but I'm gonna be pushing away from me. So I'm right-handed, so all the positionings I'm doing is based on being right-handed. If you guys are lefties, then you'll just be doing the exact opposite. You'll be standing on the opposite side of the treatment table as I am. Get that little lift. So you can see the color change there. Gonna get a little lift here, and this one we pull all the way through. And quickly, if your client squints at all in anticipation for the pull, have them make a surprised look and then go ahead and remove right when they lift their brow. If that happens, just give a little pressure. Okay, so it's a little gummy and it's really, really warm in here. So ideally, gel doesn't perform super well in warm climates, but I'm not too worried because we're doing face. I wouldn't be using it in this climate if we were doing body. But if that happens, just immediate pressure, don't panic. I dip my stick into the pot. It's tacky still, but not wet and leaving wax behind. Just get a little lift and then you can remove. What's really important is making sure that you're still pulling quickly and your client will be totally fine. It's not going to add any additional discomfort there. All right, okay, so we did brows. Now I'm gonna work on hairline. So now we're switching from pointer tool to small basic, but with the small facial waxing sticks. All right, so I'm gonna deposit here and I'm overlapping right at the top of where those brow strips were. So we're not leaving any random little lines of peach fuzz or vellus hair. I'm using lots of pressure. I love the gel wax for vellus hair because it's so tacky that it literally just grabs everything. I love the tackiness because it gets such a solid grip from the root and removes just literally everything, but there can be a little bit of a learning curve with that. All right, get a grip. So good. Stays so nice and pliable. Okay, now we're gonna do that on the other side. So same thing, I'm gonna deposit and using good pressure. Honestly, I grabbed too much wax. That's one adjustment too with this gel formula is you really don't have to use very much wax. So your profit margins are going to majorly increase. Like I could have gotten away with a lot less on that strip. I get a grip. Okay, so if this happened, again, it's really warm and I removed it too soon. So just go here and I almost do like a little bit of a sugaring motion there and it's really easy to get off. I need to make my strips a little bit thinner and I need to wait a little bit longer before removing. Okay, so now I wanna work into, actually we need to start from the bottom and work our way up with these. So first we will brush all the hair out of our way. And for reference, it's close to 90 degrees outside and we're in my warehouse office and it does not have AC. So this is where that formula finder quiz is really helpful too, because when you plug in the climate that you're normally working in, it's going to give the wax suggestion based off of that as well. All right, so we're going to start down below and work our way up. Thinner the hair, thinner the strip, thicker the hair, thicker the strip. Just because of how warm it is in here too, I wanna actually split this into two separate sections. So I'm gonna be using pointer tool and I'm gonna be splitting this in half rather than in the past videos that you've seen. I've done the entire sideburn all in one, but I wanna make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success when it comes to removal, given the circumstances and climate we're working in right now. So thinner the hair, thinner the strip, thicker the hair, thicker the strip. So we're thickening this up and I'm making sure to get this wax all the way up to the base of these hairs so we're not breaking any hairs when we go to remove. Super important. If I lay it too low and I'm not at the base at all, then when I go to remove that strip, I'm potentially breaking those hairs off rather than pulling them from the root. And that's gonna be really uncomfortable for your client in a few days when those hairs start to grow back. All right, gonna let that set. Now at this point, I could be working on something else like the upper lip. We never wanna be standing around not doing anything. So if speed is your goal, then you always wanna be laying or removing. So she's in the perfect position for me to get started on her upper lip here. So there's gonna be times when you are switching up your patterns, okay? We always have a rule of thumb, but you want to adjust based on the current circumstances. And I know that one's gonna take a little bit of time to set. So we'll get onto lip, get a little lift here, give that a second. You do want to remove when it's still tacky, but because of how warm it is, we're going to allow it to set a little bit longer. So when I go to remove, it doesn't stretch on me and I'm able to get a good removal. I like to pull this one in a few pulls here. You can see all those little guys. All right, if there's any little strings or residue left behind, use the tackiness of your strip and you can pick those up. All right, that one still needs a little bit more time. I'm gonna do lower lip on this side now. and come up into that corner. That's where a lot of little hairs can hide. And I'm using pointer tool again now. It doesn't need to be quite as clean because we're not doing any shaping like we are with brows, but we're still using that same method. Notice how I'm readjusting as I'm removing that strip. I don't know if you guys can see, but that literally grabbed all those little hairs. All right, we can visibly see that this is ready now. It's not wet anymore. It's still a little tacky, but not too tacky because this is coarser hair. All right, so I'm gonna use my left hand, get a grip, or pull taut here, get a little grip, deep breath, remove all the way through, and immediate pressure. So you can see all the sheathing and all the roots. Look how clean, you guys. I'm telling you, gel-based wax majorly reduces the amount of cleanup strips that you need to do. So now we're gonna get that second one laid and ready to go. I can see the change in length right there, so I'm going to focus just on these hairs here. I'm really molding and using a decent amount of pressure and pushing that wax down to the base. That's how you're gonna get a really clean removal. Now when it starting to get a little tacky, that's when it's time to stop, and now we just let it do its thing and start to set. Okay, so now what can we do while we're waiting? I'm gonna actually do jawline right here. She's in the perfect position for that. So I'm really switching up my strips right now, or my patterns, but we're still being so efficient. So I like to lay out across the jawline and then end right under the chin there. Gives me a really good base for removal to get a good grip. Get a little lift here. Then always position yourself. Sometimes it's easier to stand in one position for application and then a different position for removal. So don't be afraid to move around. Get a little grip. This isn't super thick hair, so I'm gonna remove in a few sections. I feel like a little bit slower pulls does really well to remove all that little vellus hair. And again, you can see how pliable this wax stays. All right, that's getting very close. I'm going to lay one more. I like to just grab this kind of peach fuzz on the side here for her. So we're gonna grab that. I really avoid, if possible, moving my clients from position to position so much. So instead of me going and doing the other side while this side is setting, I'm just working on all these areas that are exposed so they're able to stay comfortable and I'm not switching their heads back and forth. Get a little lift here. So again, because this is vellus hair, I can get away with removing this when it's a little bit tackier, and I actually prefer it because it really grabs everything. All right, this strip is ready. Get a little lift here. All right, deep breath. Remove quickly all the way through. These ones are spicy. Feels like a little smack in the side of the head, so you guys gotta be quick with it. Look how clean. It looks so good. Okay, now I'm going to just make sure I know exactly where I'm going. So I'm not wanting to get up into her hairline. We're not trying to change any of that. I'm just grabbing these hairs and lower. So I'm going to do small basic now. And again, if you guys are confused at what I'm talking about with all of these different types of strips, go enroll in my free 6-week course. You can work at it at your own pace and you'll be able to see all the different strips you need to know. So I start a little bit lower and then I work my way up to the base. Just so I have more control and I'm not accidentally getting wax into any hair that I don't actually want to remove. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the tail of the brow right there. Bring it down. All right, we're gonna allow that to set for a second. These stringers, it's just because it's so warm, it just wants to continue to pull. So that's why I do this with my stick, because then you're exposing this thin string to air, hot air, so it's not really helping us out much, but it will start to set and then it will eventually break off. You don't want to pull this with you and then you have strings all over your client and all over your treatment room. When I first got started at European, I would have strings of wax in my car. So just kind of that's why you see me twirling and in doing this motion. It's to break off that string and keep it contained on my stick so I can throw it away. All right, this is actually pretty ready. I'm a little grip. Okay, deep breath. And make sure you put immediate pressure. And in these areas where I know it's more spicy, I'm holding that pressure longer. You can even do this kind of tapping motion. Do not rub, but kind of tapping can help as well. Look at that. These are my favorite. Look how nice and clean. Everything looks so good. Okay, so since I'm over here, I might as well do cheek. And then we're pretty solid on this side. We'll have to get chin still for cheek. Straight down. Make sure not to get too close to the eye. You don't want to pass where like the eye socket is. That skin is really thin and fragile, so we don't want to cause any lifting or discomfort at all there. Go this little lift. Sometimes pressing into the strip can actually help it to set. You can see the color change there. Oh, that's a little, so this, I'm too thick. So we wanna, thank God for my nails. They're my little tools. Someone once told me jewels, not tools, but I'm like, no, these are my tools. I would definitely make them work for me. But you can see how pliable that stays. All right, I see this little line that I missed there. So I'm going to grab that. And we'll move on to the other side. All right, okay, I'm gonna switch her over here. Okay, I'm gonna grab my spoolie. All these long hairs we wanna brush out of the way. You guys can also have disposable headbands on hand or just regular ones if you do facials as well and you're already doing laundry, then that's good to use for this as well. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. I want to break this up a bit. I don't worry about trimming these because I know I'm going to push my wax to the base of the hair there, so I'm not going to cause any breakage or anything. So again, I'm doing that pointer tool method. I'm just going to focus on half. Start a little lower than the hairline and then work my way up to the base of the hair there. There we go. All right, same thing. I'm gonna move you just a little bit here. We're gonna work on upper lip. So lip, I didn't mention this on the other side. It's the only area where I actually will go against the hair growth from the very beginning. It just really helps to pull up those little vellus hairs. There's a dense amount of vellus hair on our upper lips, so it really helps to get a good grip. It's a trick I learned while I was working at European, and I've used it ever since, and it really helps get everything. That's a lot of clients' pet peeve, is getting their upper lip waxed and then check in when they get in the car, pull it down that visor mirror, and the sun illuminates everything and you still have hair left behind. It's super frustrating. So this technique, along with the gel based or even our hybrid based wax, works really good for lip waxing. The grip of the gel just really helps to grab everything. Right now I'm doing lower lip, going up into that corner again. I see just a little bit on this side, so I'm going to use that extra wax on my stick and grab those. I'm going to use my stick to remove. I'm removing when still tacky. All right, this looks ready. I'm going to get a little grip here. I'm holding really taut, pulling down, not pushing in. Deep breath. And immediate pressure. Kind of tap that out. All right. Look how clean. So good. Okay, now let's separate where we're going next. I'm going to focus just right there. Now I'm doing pointer tool again. So I haven't had sideburns waxed like this before, but I did do the back of my neck when I was at European Wax Center, and I feel like it would be a very similar feeling because it's the same type of hair. And oh my gosh, it's not fun. It's pretty painful. I just remember feeling, it was the most different sensation that I've ever felt amongst any other service areas. It felt like she literally punched me in the back of the head. Like it feels like a solid little punch there. So you guys have to make sure that you're setting yourself up for a really quick removal, because if you're getting stuck in this area, you're gonna cause so much additional discomfort, and it's already a really uncomfortable area to get waxed. So make sure you're on it and you're foreseeing any potential issues before removal, and just when in doubt, thicken it up and wait a little bit longer. And not doing too large of areas at a time. I've seen a lot of beard waxing, or even women's waxing, and PCOS, especially any clients with PCOS, where they're just covering way too large of areas at once. When it's coarser hair, thicker hair, you have to break it up. So good. Just want to give that one more second. I'm gonna let that one sit, but this one is ready. Get a little grip here. All right, deep breath. Tap, 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 tap. All right, getting close. Now on the neck, I'm not pushing in, I'm just kind of gently pulling down. So I'm still holding taut, but I'm not choking them out. Quick pull, so even though I'm not getting a really great grip, I'm doing quick pull so it's not uncomfortable for the client. We never want to be picking. Now, if that was an area that we didn't want to remove, you'd have to work some oil in there, but it's just some peach fuzz, so I'm just going to cover pointer tool method, and we will get that gone. There we go. All right, okay, so then we have cheek left still. Now we're doing small basic. Oh wait, I forgot about this. Oh well, now we're having to do cheek. Almost left you lopsided. Like this. Really thickening it up. Lots of pressure. All right. I can get a little start and lift right there. I'm going to use this to help me get a grip on this strip. And then hold taut one more. All right. Well, that one's setting. All we have left is chins. I'm going to readjust her slightly. And I like to do a chin strap for the chin. So you're using small basic. You're depositing the wax under this chin there. Then you're going right over and then up above. And then I do like to come back and thicken that up just a little bit for removal. And then create my lip. I can see my wax is dragging a bit. So that means either one, I need to turn it up slightly, or two, make sure I'm stirring my pot. All right, chin I do like to remove when tacky. And we're gonna remove in 3 different pulls. So. Okay. I'm gonna let that set a little bit longer. If you ever have a really hard time getting it up, just go ahead and thicken it up, and you're gonna have to wait longer for it to set. But I'm just gonna give it a couple more seconds. You can see how great, there's so much vellus hair in there. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, and then you can also see those coarser hairs as well. All right, get a little grip here again. All right, deep breath. Good job. No, I'm sorry. All right, looks good. Looks really good. So chin I most often than not do twice. So the rule of thumb for face is up to 2 passes on the face. For body waxing, it's up to 3, but again, this is a rule of thumb. We need to make adjustments based on our clients. So a lot of times, like cheek, I'm only doing 1 pass. Lip is okay to do 2. But you have to get to know your client's skin and observe their skin and make adjustments based on them. So I'm someone who I could go over an area on my face 5 times and be totally fine. And then I've had clients where 1 pass and their skin is really not loving it. So. And then right here you can see there's like this little patch here. So I'm gonna just do that on its own. So make sure you're really thorough, especially with full face. And I have clients that come in and have like tons of vellus hair. And when you leave these little patches, it's so annoying. So make sure you're being super thorough and really observing. Having good lighting is so important. So if you don't have good overhead lighting, then making sure to have a little light, like a ring light or something, so that you can see all the hair, and then also getting different angles. So I like to kind of like adjust and look from different angles, because you'll be able to see different hair based on that. All right, I'm gonna grab my tweezers, get this last little chin hair, and then this one that I saw over here. This is a first. Our camera overheated. That's telling you how warm it is in this treatment room right now. So we switched to a phone, so if the audio sounds a little bit different, I apologize, but we're gonna get this done. So all that we have left is nose. So I know she likes to do inner nose and top of nose. So I'm gonna start with inner. And honestly, I do not like gel for inner nose. So I have some hybrid on hand here. And it's too warm. How can you tell it's too warm? See how runny it is? So when you get the wax on your stick, 1 Mississippi, I can't even start counting before it's dripping. So way too warm. I will not be using that. Thank goodness I have a lot of different options here. There we go. Let's hope that this one isn't too warm. Nope, that looks pretty good. Okay, so for nose, we're doing nose pop. I'm just going a little bit on the tip of my stick there. Does look a little bit on the warmer side. My pots do not need to be at their normal temperature, because it's so warm in here. It naturally makes the wax a little bit warmer as well. So I'm just gonna let it sit on my stick just for a couple seconds. I can tell it's not like super drippy or anything, so it's ready to go. Palm of my hand on forehead, lift here, and I'm gonna focus on the inner tip here. Now, nose hairs, they are there for a reason. It's a filtration system. We are not meant to be going up into the nasal cavity. You can create so many issues. They could be sneezing, we can tear the mucous membrane. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to get cosmetically those little hairs that tend to pop out. Twist and pinch. And again, I don't recommend a gel base for this, especially for the conditions we're in right now with how hot it is. It will take forever to set, because we're going up into the nose a little bit. So it's surrounded and it doesn't have a lot of air touching it and allowing it to set quickly or properly. So the cream helps combat that. All right, we wanna remove when still a little tacky, a little moldable, but not wet. Hand on forehead and pull quickly. Perfect. And now I'm gonna do the lower portion of her nose next. Making sure it's not too runny. So if you guys are providing full body services and you like the gel formula, but then you also are doing things like nose or men's ear waxing, you may want to have one of our double warmers that we have here. and have a cream or hybrid base wax in there, just so that you have it on hand for these nose waxes. A lot of barber shops locally have been using our wax for men's nose and ears, and we recommend this pot here because it's nice. You can have one of each formula as well. Hold taut, we move quickly, and then we'll do the lower portion. Now, okay, this needs to stop. I keep seeing this, and this is considered double dipping. You cannot be touching the stick like this and then going and now dipping the other end into the pot. I have used this hand to touch her skin, especially when we're talking body waxing too. Then I'm touching this side of the stick and then switching it and dipping. That is still double dipping. I saw a lot of this at the trade show, and I'm seeing it online of sticks, especially if you're purchasing with us. They're less than a penny each. Like, this is not the area to skimp. Sanitation is most important, okay? Little side note. Okay, now I talked too long. This is ready to remove. Hand on forehead and pull. Oop, sorry. I slipped a little bit. I did not pull that quickly enough. Make sure you have a solid grip before pulling. All right, now I'm going to do the other side, the bottom. Temperature looks good. This bottom part here. And squeeze. So when I squeeze, I'm having my stick up and down like this rather than sideways, or else you're squeezing their nose into the sides of the stick. That's really uncomfortable, so make sure the positioning of your stick is how it needs to be. All right, we'll just let that set. Then we're gonna do top of nose, which is my favorite. Little residue. I'm just gonna push that into there and pick that up. All right, now we're ready for top of nose. I wish I could do the gel right now because it's so tacky. It grabs all those little hairs. It's too hot though, hence the camera overheating. So I'm gonna use the hybrid and switch over to that. It does have the gel in there though, so it's still gonna have the tackiness, but it's gonna have the forgiveness of the cream and also help with the setting times and removal because of the heat that's going on in this treatment room right now. So it's not like always the prettiest application, but very effective. Like to go down the bridge and then come right up the center here. And it's kind of the same concept as doing the upper lip, where it's the only area I really will kind of go against the hairs. Same with that inner, I don't even know what you call this, septum. The septum part has a lot of little tiny vellus hair. So I like to go up against it, and then I'm connecting everything really nicely, making sure I'm getting along the edge of the nose there. I'm connecting it really nicely to make removal easy for myself too. Lots of pressure, going back, covering everything. So this is why I do the inner nose first, so that we're not tugging on any long hairs right there, since I am kind of coming into the inner rim just slightly. All right, gonna get a little lift. We want to get a lift all along the bottom here. Then I kind of pull up the sides first. If I have a hard time, I'll use like pieces like this to kind of get myself a grip. Again, not super pretty, but it will be effective. And pull up here. Ooh, so good. It's like a BR strip. Look at that. See, the grip on the hybrid is so insane as well. So if you're struggling with the gel, try our hybrid. It's literally a fail-safe for everyone. You get the best of both worlds. All right, now I'm going to do the other side. All right, you need to deposit. I like coming up against those vellus hairs. All right, I need a little bit more wax. This was the first viral video I ever had, was in 2017. I had a client come in and I did the top of her nose and I posted it on a random platform. I can't remember. Maybe it was Vine, or I can't remember. It was not TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. It was like a super random platform, and it got millions of views, and I thought like I had made it. I was gonna be able to retire, and nothing came of it.
But it was just cool. It was a flex. I'm like, I just started creating content, and but it goes to show you views is not what matters. It's conversion. So you guys should definitely check out my podcast because I talk all about that. Rebel Show. Okay, we're gonna get a little lift. Again, not super pretty, but effective. Come up the middle there. Make sure to meet the sides because we don't want to be pulling against the hair growth or it's not going to work really well. Look at that. It's a pure strip, I'm telling you. It's so good. I've never seen, people used to ask me all the time, like, will wax remove any blackheads or anything? I'm like, no, but dude, Rebel Wax absolutely does. It will, I'm telling you, it works like a viewer strip. It's insane. The grip is just so good. All right, I'm just dipping my stick back into the pot here to pick up any of this little residue. We don't want to leave our client going home with any residue. And I'm just going to double check everything. Make sure I didn't miss any spots. And twist that little guy. All right, everything looks good. So I'm choosing to end the service with Just Calm Down by Relax and Wax. It is technically a topical antihistamine. Now she's not having a histamine reaction, but I just prefer this right now because it's so hot, and I feel like it's just going to really help combat against any potential issues with being so warm and her skin being warm after this wax. It's very calming and soothing as well. It smells good. It's hydrating. Make sure to cover everywhere. And then I always finish up. I do not do brow powder and highlighter and gel and all of those things, but I do purposefully get the aftercare product over their brows so that there's a little bit of product in there and I can use my spoolie to brush up and out and kind of finish off the service that way. All right, we are done. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful. Go take that quiz. Don't forget, and don't forget to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys back next week.